Hey guys, my name is Christopher and I'm a South African living in Berlin. And in this video I would just like to explain a little bit about my experience moving from South Africa to Berlin and just give a few tips on leaving the house and moving abroad. So I just want to explain a little bit about why I moved to Berlin. So basically in March and April of last year I went through an interview process at a company and I was selected to join an apprenticeship program and actually come to Berlin to do the apprenticeship program. So it's a 3-year apprenticeship program, 3.5 years actually. And so I'll be in Berlin for 3.5 years as of last year August, so half a year's already gone, so 3 more years. But you know, it was my first time leaving the house and my first time living on my own, and so I would just like to give a few tips on how I managed it and how I got through it and came out still kicking, still fighting. I hope these tips are beneficial to you and I hope you can use some of them. So let's get into it. My first tip would be to build a community. So upon arriving wherever you're moving, you want to build a community of people that you can spend time with. There's an app called Meetup, not available in the German app store. So the way I downloaded it, I moved back to my South African app store and then downloaded it. And then through this app, you can actually meet up with a lot of different kinds of people. They have groups on this app, and you can actually, join any group that appeals to you. And actually, there's endless possibilities. One of our friends here, another South African, actually, he started hiking through this Meetup app, and he's been on a bunch of hikes since being here, and it's really awesome. So that's one option you have with regard to building a community. One thing that I did personally was joining a church community, and when I arrived here, I went to Hillsong Berlin. I started going to Hillsong Berlin, and I'm still going now, and I found that has been key to keeping me sane and keeping me able to cope with everything, because it isn't easy leaving your family behind and everything to a completely new place with completely different culture and people who do life completely differently to what you're used to. So it's very important that you find people that you can start getting to know. For me, that the church was a big help. I met so many nice people, and people were always looking out for me. They were always asking how I was, and in the beginning you don't really want everyone to be on your case, but after a while you realize that you actually appreciate it, because if it wasn't for those people, I probably won't still be in church. And it's been those people were a great help in that sense. The next tip I have would be to learn the language. If you're going to a country that doesn't speak English as the first language, I would say learn the language. I'm in Germany obviously, and I started learning German before I left South Africa, and that was actually that's part of the requirements for the course that I've been placed on, to learn German, because the course we're doing here, the apprenticeship is done in German, so it's important that the people who are doing the apprenticeship can speak German and understand German as well. And I found that being able to speak German, you're able to get around a lot easier, and you can do basic tasks that you would need to do. I had to go to the doctor actually in the beginning of the year, and it was quite tough. But I was able to speak and I was able to explain what I was experiencing. I was having earache. I actually had an ear infection. It was quite painful. But I was able to explain that to the doctor, and she was able to give me a diagnosis. I was able to understand what she was saying and understand the prescription. So that was important. And your daily tasks like buying groceries and anything, you know. whenever you need to communicate with someone, you want to be able to, you know. You don't want it to be a case where you're constantly a foreigner, you know. You want to slowly become immersed in the culture, and one way to do that is definitely through learning the language. Another important tip would be to communicate with your family and close friends back home regularly, because you find that you do miss them, and you will miss memories and that, and it might not be the case that your family will message you and constantly be checking up on you. It might feel that they don't want to find out what's going on in your life, but it might just seem that you're very busy. Well, at least I found that was the case. Like, my family, we communicate, I would say, once a week, and I would say to at least try once a week to communicate with your family, because if you leave it for longer than a week, it starts to feel like you're drifting, and it's not a particularly nice feeling being in a different country far away from home and feeling like you're drifting from your family, who are the most important people in your life, because they've been there for your whole life, you know. So definitely keep in contact with whatever ways possible. Do regular video calls, regular voice calls, Skype is a great tool. Zoom, we're figuring that out now in the whole coronavirus crisis, how nicely Zoom works and other conference call apps. But WhatsApp call works perfectly fine. WhatsApp video call as well. Definitely don't change your dieting habits too much. You'll find that it's very difficult if you've never had to shop for yourself and supply for yourself, for a household. You'll find that it's quite difficult keeping track with everything that's running low and making sure that there's always a supply of things, right? One thing would be to maintain your diet. So obviously, you know what you ate at home, you know what you used to. Now don't try to change that too much, and also don't eat too much or don't eat too little. I found when I got here, I went all out with my eating. I ate a lot of fast food, but also when I was making food, I would have massive portions. And where we do our apprenticeship, there's a cafeteria, and they serve food at lunch and at breakfast and everything, and you can purchase meals there every day. Lunchtime you can get a discount as well, so it makes it very convenient. So you'd find those meals were quite large, and then you'd still come home in the evening, or I would still come home in the evening and have another big meal, because I would cook, and then I'd cook for multiple days. That's another tip. Actually, if you don't like cooking, or not that you don't like cooking, but you don't like cleaning dishes, cook once for 2 or 3 days, and cook for lunch and dinner. It saves a lot of time, and it's a big help, I found at least. Don't eat too much and don't eat too little, because in my first 3-4 months of being here, I picked up 8 kilograms, and so I went back to South Africa in December over Christmas. I was very fortunate to be able to go back and celebrate Christmas with my family. It was an awesome time, especially to get away from the cold, specifically not being used to such cold, coming from a warm, dry climate like South Africa. It was very nice to go back and spend time with my family. Yeah, I picked up 8 kilograms, and by the time I went back, I actually had a stomach, and before I left, I had a flat stomach. I've always been a skinny guy, and I actually had picked up a stomach and love handles as well, and it was quite embarrassing. But, everyone said I looked healthy, so the main thing was that I looked healthy. Yeah. Another big thing is staying healthy. So with regard to your dieting habits, if you weren't eating healthy before you left, I would say try and incorporate healthy eating into your eating, your dieting. And if you don't know much about health or anything, there's plenty videos out there, plenty blogs, everything that you can check out on Google. It's all there, so there's actually no excuse, especially unless you don't have internet connection. But then you wouldn't really have the opportunity to watch this video. So it's a case of, if it applies to you, there we go. If the shoe fits, wear it, right? But yeah, so stay healthy, eat healthy, don't overeat, don't undereat, as I've been saying. And if you're used to going to the gym or staying fit, then keep it up. It's actually really good to stay fit as you feel a lot better. During my first 4 months here, I was actually doing the bare minimum exercise, and I think that's what actually caused me to gain a stomach. But from January, I signed up at the gym, and I've been going to gym, and I've been jogging. When I'm not going to gym, I'm jogging. But I've been on and off. Yeah, I would say keep fit. It's important, especially to keep you motivated as well. Because if you start to get unfit, and you actually begin to become lazy, and it's actually like a snowball effect. The more lazy you get, the more you don't want to get fit, and the more you aren't fit, it just reinforces that need to be lazy. And if you find yourself struggling to just leave your apartment or wherever you're staying, it's important to go out and just get some fresh air, because there were many days when I was just in my apartment, and you would get the sense of depression. Not even that it was depression, but you just felt very demotivated and distraught. And I found that the best cure for that was to go outside and breathe some fresh air and just have a look around and go look at some trees, because actually just having a look at like nature really, it renews that desire to be like, hey, there's still life outside, let's get something going, So yeah, I would say go outside, get some fresh air. Obviously when you leave home, you're leaving everybody you know, right? So you're actually going to a new place knowing nobody, likely. So upon arriving, there's a big chance that you'll know nobody. So it's a good idea to introduce yourself to your neighbor, or your new neighbor. So when I got here, it was a few weeks before I actually saw my neighbor. I don't know if I even still have a neighbor. I haven't seen them since. But as soon as I did see them and I confirmed that they were living in the door next to my door, I was actually like, hi there, my name is Christopher, I'm your new neighbor. It's a pleasure to meet you. And just an act of I don't know if that's kindness, that's just decency in my opinion, to introduce yourself. But it actually builds your confidence. The guy was taken by surprise, so much so that you could see it on his face, and instantly I was boosted in confidence. I was like, wow, just greeting this guy, I feel so much better, and I feel like I can conquer the world. So yeah, I would say introduce yourself to your neighbor. Once you've started building a community, or have identified a few people who've gone on a hike, or met up on a meetup group or something, you will have met people, and maybe get some numbers as well. That's how we do things to stay in touch these days, is like exchanging phone numbers. So if you do get someone's phone number, and you do take a liking to them, not that you like them, but that they're a decent person, and you could see yourself spending more time with them, go out for coffee with them. It's a good way to strengthen bonds with people, and to meet people and actually just have a laid back chat, over coffee. Because I find coffee is such a great way to talk to people because there's really no strings attached. So yeah, I would say go for coffee, speak to people, and that's a great way to connect with people. Yeah, and for me, I've been for a few coffees, and yeah, it's especially nice when you've met the person a few times and you go for coffee and you see that they're completely different to what you think they are, but in a good way. And that's what you'll find when you meet the right people and you actually have a good chat with them, because you can learn so much about a person from talking to them. And if you listen attentively and you're actively in the conversation, then you can actually have some really deep conversations and you can learn so much from people, especially because being in a new place, you are going to meet so many different people with so many different life stories and so many different experiences and just completely different ways of life. So they'll be able to open up completely different perspectives to you, and I find that really, really great. In South Africa, I was limited to people in my neighborhood and people in my little suburb, and people are very similar minded, especially when no one gets out, because the mindset just stays in the area. But if you move out, you go to a different place, and now you've got your mindset, and now you are meeting all these different people with completely different perspectives and views on life, and now you're able to actually learn and take from them what you think will work in your life. So that's just a great advantage of having the opportunity to leave the house and to leave the country and to travel. Something that I found important, especially when leaving the house. So for many people, I think when you leave the house, it means that you are in some way able to sustain yourself financially. So I find it very important to keep track of your finances and to know what you're spending your money on. So to know what you're spending your money on, you got to keep a budget and create budgets to try to control your spending. Because I found in my first few salaries, when I saw money in my bank accounts, I just wanted to spend, buy everything you wanted, obviously as soon as you start spending money, you see how little you actually have, and or it just that vanishes and you're like, where did it go? So I had that for the first few months, and I found that I was just completely broke at the end of the month for the first 4 months. That was partly due to me having to buy things for the apartment, and that'll probably be the case for many of you as well. But that's expected in the first few months. But as soon as you can start cutting down your spending, definitely start saving as well. But control your spending, track your spending, and you can actually see how you're wasting money. I know in my first few months I spent a lot of money on fast food, and I didn't track it until about the third month, and then from the third month I've been tracking actually how much I spent on fast food, and I can definitely cut it down, or I could definitely cut it down, and so I have. Another important topic is make your bed in the morning. So it doesn't have to be the first thing you do, but a lot of people say that as soon as you get out of bed you make your bed. I don't do that, but I find I like to go shower first, and then I make my bed. Once I've eaten and once I'm dressed and everything, I make my bed. But when you make your bed, you're initializing that sense that you've accomplished something, and when you do that, it sets your brain in the right attitude for the day, you're ready to go and achieve things today, right? And that also has a lot to do with building good habits. It's easy to get lazy and to just look at your phone the whole morning. First thing you do when you wake up is you check your messages. There's a lot of videos out there saying why that's not good for you, and I totally agree. I normally only check my phone after an hour of being awake. It's great to start a morning routine and to try and implement a morning routine into your day. It just starts the day off so much smoother. I heard a guy speaking at church one one day recently about how your brain is actually still in alpha phase when you're awake, when you just wake up for it can be up to 2 hours after waking up. And so your brain is actually the most creative. So it's good to almost utilize that, but not to utilize that, but to do the right things and to set your mood for the day, doing the right things. So personally, I have a few things where I pray, or I try to have a small prayer, and I just have a few confessions and stuff. It's like I can do another video on that if that would be an interesting topic. Building good habits. So keeping your place clean, because cleanliness is very important. If your environment around you is dirty, you're not going to feel motivated to do anything. So it's important to keep things clean, sweep the floor, mop it regularly. I don't have a mop, so kind of being a hypocrite, but I have mopped a few times. But sweeping, vacuuming, whatever you have to clean your place, clean your place. Dishes, do them daily. Don't let them build up. I regularly let them build up for like 2 days, and then I hate washing after 2 days. But if you wash every day, you find that you're just so much more at ease. And if you keep your place in a good organized state, it's so much easier to think and feel relaxed. Because when your place is dirty, I find it very hard to sit back and just relax. You just feel that impending, I need to go and clean something, but I don't feel like it, but it's there. So if everything's done, you can actually relax and have nothing to worry about. When you go to a new country, there's going to be completely different ways of doing things. So in South Africa, when you go out, it's custom to just greet people and smile and be nice to people. And it's not custom here. If you greet someone, there's a good chance they won't greet you back. And if you look at them and smile at them, there's a good chance they'll completely ignore you. So I learned that the hard way. And now I am greeting less. So I look to see if there's going to be eye contact. And if there's no eye contact, I just carry on walking, So it's normally quite awkward. But that's the thing that I want to stress here. Like, if you go to a new place, be nice. Be nice to people, even if they're not nice to you back. Don't let the way people are in that place compress or restrict how nice you are. Always be nice, even if people aren't nice back to you. You'll find that one day you're nice to the right people, and just always be nice to people, because you never know who you're being nice to, and you never know who that person might end up being one day in your life. When you move out of your house and you move abroad, you are likely on your own. So this is a time where you can actually learn so much about yourself. It's actually a great opportunity to be able to explore, who you are, because there's things that you might have done as a kid or enjoyed as a kid that you let go of, and actually now is a great time to find out what you actually enjoy. So that also ties in with my next tip, which is to try new things. Do things you've never done before, because that way you are growing yourself and you actually can discover that you enjoy things that you haven't done, and then you'll like to do them again. So a few things that I've never done before that I did. I recently auditioned for The Voice Germany, and that was an interesting experience, because everyone has told me that I can sing throughout my life, but I never tried anything. And I had a good friend from church who said she was going to do the audition and invited me to join her, and I said yes, and I went and I made it through the first round, so congrats to me. But not the second round, unfortunately. But it was, despite the fact that I didn't make it through to the third round or whatever, I still tried something new. I still pushed my comfort zone. I still pushed my boundaries, and I learned about myself that day. I'm willing to do things, and just have a little bit of faith in yourself, and you'll surprise yourself even. I also went skiing in Czech, not in Berlin, but that was the first time for me, and I really enjoyed it. I fell so many times, so about halfway through the day I kind of didn't want to ski anymore. but I didn't have a choice. No, I did. I actually walked. But the first part of the day was brilliant. I enjoyed it so much, and I would love to ski again. It was also my first time seeing snow, which was great. So yeah, do things you've never done before, because that way you're just adding experiences to your life, and you'll learn about yourself in the process. That's the best way to learn about yourself. If you can, definitely travel. So being in Europe and with a Schengen visa, I'm able to travel to like EU countries, and so that is a great benefit of being here. So my goal is to travel to as many countries as possible during my time here in Germany, and really make the most of my chance to be here. So if where you find yourself you're able to travel, definitely travel, even if it's just to the other side of the city or out to like a small town just outside the city or wherever you are. Travel, just travel, because you'll meet people, you'll see things that'll just blow your mind. Those will be memories that you think back on and were like, wow, you never thought you would be able to see things like that, do things like that. And if you speak to anyone and you speak to them about their best experiences, they'll tell you it was when they were traveling, when they left the house, when they went to a new place, to a new country. It's just so important to leave the house and to do things, to travel. So definitely travel if you can. At some point in your life, you have to become independent, and it might feel like by leaving the house you become automatically independent, and that is not the case. You actually realize how not independent you are when you leave the house, because you come to realize how much your parents actually do for you. You see that you have to now wash your own dishes, do your own washing, make your own bed. Hopefully you were already doing that, but you have to now clean the house, you have to mop the floor, sweep the floor, and you have to iron your own clothes. All this you, if you're lucky, would normally take for granted. Don't worry if you ever feel like you're still a child or something. It happens to all of us. It's just part of the process. When you do feel like that, just know that you're not alone and you will get through it, and just know that it's part of the learning process, part of the learning curve. Sometimes you will miss the comforts of home, of being home. You will miss the luxury of mommy and daddy being there to help you with everything, to do everything for you. But now you have to do things yourself. You have to do your own things. You have to look after yourself now, okay? There will be days where you feel unequipped and unprepared for the magnitude of the task set ahead of you. But, just take it with what you do have, and you will learn how to deal with it. One of the most important things for me over these last 7 months have been actually my relationship with God. Spending time in prayer, reading the Bible, worshipping. I actually tried fasting for the first time, and I've done it 4 times or so. I found that just maintaining my relationship with God and putting God first in my life has been what's kept me going. Knowing and trusting that God is my source of peace, my source of joy, and my source of strength. It's a comfort knowing that you don't have to be there, you don't have to do it all on your own. He has already given you everything that you need to overcome actually all the battles you might face. So personally, that's been my biggest help, and I rest assured knowing that God has my back. I don't know what your coping mechanisms are. Leave a comment in the comment section. But with that note, I would like to say thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks so much.